Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Friday morning, the first Friday of June. I hope everyone is doing well as we have our weekly Oneg Shabbat. I hope everybody had a nice week here at Gurwin. As again, we mention every week, but we'll continue to mention things getting better and better, which they really are. You know, if you look at, you're following the news, what's going on, thank God the coronavirus is getting less and less in Long Island, in New York, in the United States of America, and that's because the vaccines are working. Many people getting vaccinated. I read earlier yesterday that we're at about 60% vaccinated across the country. It's wonderful news for everyone. As more families come in, more people coming in, people get to go outside a little more, and we hope soon we'll have Oneg Shabbat together in person. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashareis, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashareis, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Ashareis Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nile Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nile Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Cham leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Cham leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Cham leShalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Shalach, which has a tragic story of one of the worst sins or crimes, as you call it, of the Jewish people. Put things in perspective, it's about a year out of the Jews leaving Egypt. They've traveled the desert, they've received the Torah on Mount Sinai, and they're getting closer and closer to the land of Israel. Finally, the journey will end with this amazing moment of going into the land of Israel, something which God told them was the reason of leaving Egypt, was to give you the Torah and bring you into my land, the land of Israel. And as the Jews start getting closer and closer, they started getting nervous. Starting getting nervous about this new land they go into. And remember, these people were slaves for hundreds of years in Egypt. The only freedom they existed was a freedom by themselves in the desert. They didn't really live as free people in a land with other people in society, and they got nervous. Maybe rightfully so, they got nervous. What's this land like? What's it going to be like? Are there going to be a lot of fighting? Are there going to be people that are stronger than us? Are we going to go to war? Well, they didn't know any better. All they knew was being a slave in Egypt and being free in the desert. So they asked Moshe, Rabbeinu Moses, they said, we'd like to go and spy out the land. Let's go check out the land, see what this land is, just to make sure it's okay to go. And it really was their first mistake. They didn't trust God, didn't believe in God. Hashem said, you'll be fine, don't worry, I'll protect you. And yet, they said, no, let's go for ourselves to check it out. And there's an axiom we have in the world that if you want to try something, you could try it, but you're going to have to live with the results. And God said, if you want to spy out the land, you could go, but I'm warning you, be very careful what you report back, because things are not always what they seem. And they went down there, and they spied the land out. And when they came back with a terrible report. They said, there's danger in this land. There are giants in this land. There are people that are dangerous in this land. And those are true facts. There were giants living in the land. There were dangerous people in the land. They saw some people dying and things like that. And they came back and said, you know what, I don't know if this is such a great idea. It's very, very concerning. And although their facts were right, it is dangerous land, but that wasn't the sin. The sin was that they didn't believe in God. God said it will be okay. God took you out of Egypt. God protected you in the desert, so for the past year, so it will be okay. And lo and behold, when the report came back, the Jewish people said, you know what, we're not so sure if we want to go. And God said, you're not going to believe me, you're not going to trust me, you're all going to be punished. You're not allowed to go to the land of Israel. You must wander the desert for the next 40 years. Your children will go in, but all of you here who are refusing to go will not be allowed in the land of Israel. And this sin, known as the sin of the spies, is one of the most terrible sins. Not because anything terrible happened per se at the moment. Nobody was hurt, nobody was killed, no tragedy happened. The tragedy was if we're believing in God for so much, we got to believe a little bit more. And this lesson is a lesson we could all take to heart. It's been a difficult year for all of us, a difficult road, but we have our faith in God that He'll get us to the finish line, and we're there. We're so close to being there, to be back to a regular freedom, to regular lives. And this is certainly not the point to lose faith in God. If we've trusted God so far, we have to keep our faith to the very end. Lecha dehodi lekras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Lecha dehodi lekras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Shamo v'zacho v'dibur echad. Hishmiyanu kelam yuchad Hashem echad u'shmo echad. L'shemul seferet v'letzila. Chadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Likras Shabbos chuvin elcha ki mekor haviracha meirosh mikedem nesucha sov masa b'machshavat chila. Chadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Likras Shabbos chuvin elcha ki mekar haviracha meirosh mikedem nesucha sov masa b'machshavat chila. Chadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Yamin u'smol tifrotzi yes Hashem nahariti al yah ben yishai beis halachmi. Karvo el nafshi geyala lecha dodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabelam. At the end of the Torah portion, at the end of the parsha, we talk about the mitzvah of tzitzis, the strings, talit. I'm wearing a talis, the garment a prayer shawl that we wear with the strings attached. And the Torah explains that the strings, we don't have the custom nowadays, but the custom was to have a blue string, a blue thread on our prayer shawls. The question is, why a blue thread? So the Talmud explains that the blue should remind us of something. Should remind us of the sea. A blue sea, a blue ocean. But what does that remind us of? The blue ocean will remind us of the blue sky. Well, what does that remind us of? The blue sky will remind us of God, and that will make us closer connected to God. So there's a concept here that we have to use our imagination in our relationship, in our spiritual relationship as well. We have to use our imagination in physical relationships, but also in spiritual relationships as well. That we could look around the world, anything we could see. We could see something which is just a blue item, a blue piece of thread. But through that blue piece of thread, we could connect to God. And it's not just through the blue thread, it's through anything in life. You see something, you look outside, you see flowers blooming, you see a sunshine, you see day, you even see a rainy day. Rain represents God as feeding the world with rain so produce could grow, so we could eat. Farmers could do what they have to do, and we could all have food to eat. Anything in life could trigger a thought a nice thought, a nice idea to create a relationship with God. And that's really what we have to do in our lives. Every moment we can, where something happens, something good happens, we see something positive, we think of something positive, these are all triggers for us to connect to God in the best way that we can. Adon Olam Asher Malach V'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ez Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kechlos HaKol Levahada Yimloch Nahara V'haya V'hu Hoveh Hu Yihye B'sifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni Laham Shilo Lahachbira Bili Reishis Bili Sachlis V'lo Hoz V'ha Misra V'hu Keli V'chai Goali Tzorach Evli B'yez Nasa V'hu Nisi Umanosli Minas Kosi B'yom Ekra B'yahado Avkid Ruchi Yes, Ishan v'yahira v'yem ruchi geviyasi ado shem li v'lo yira. Have a happy, healthy Shabbat. Have a great weekend. We'll see everybody next week.